I'm Julie McClintock. I've been in Chapel Hill since 1970. Moved here with my husband, and we've raised our kids here, and went through the Chapel Hill Public Schools. At some point in the 80s, I got interested in town government, and I wanted to find out what was going on. I went down to a council meeting, and I was hooked. I became very interested in what was happening, and about 1985, I decided to run for office, and I succeeded, and I served for about 12 years. I went back and had a third career at working for the federal government in air quality, and I had a wonderful career. But when I retired, I was still here in Chapel Hill, and I became very concerned and interested again in what was happening to our town. And I didn't feel, I found other people who felt the same, that the people that were running our town were really listening to what the people wanted. So a group of us formed Chapel Hill Alliance for a Livable Town, known as CHALT, and we just became an advocacy organization. We attended council meetings, we figured out what is it we wanted, what was our vision for the town, and then we went out and encouraged people to run. And in 2015, we elected a new mayor and a couple council members, and then in 2017, we elected all 4 of our endorsements, including Hong Bin Gu, who I think is one of the best council members we have. So one of the things that people ask about is, why is this election important? Why should people really participate? It really matters who we have on the town council. The town council members have a very important job. They decide the policy for how the town is run. We have a town manager, and he has a staff, and they run the town. But the town council decides all matters of policy about how it's run. They decide what projects get permitted, they decide what rules should be in place, and so it's a very important job. And if we don't like something in town, we need to be able to talk to our elected leaders, and that's why it's very important to have responsive, well-informed leaders. So this fall, a lot of people are very interested in why we have all these big tall buildings up and down 15501. Why are all these big apartment buildings going up? And there's actually a reason for it. A number of years ago, an old council changed the rules entirely and said, we want to have development without much rules at all. That doesn't require the developer to do much of anything. So they made those rules, and that's why these buildings keep popping out of the ground. Now, we have a council now who does care, and they think that just having luxury apartments isn't really good for us. We need housing that is of all different price ranges. We need housing that has green space and parks. And of course, the town has to pay for the amenities that everybody wants in a town. We want to have good police protection. We want to have fire. We want to have a wonderful library, which we do have. And so but we need to pay for those things. So in the end, the luxury apartments didn't really do anything for us, unfortunately. But what we have to keep in mind is that this council was working hard to make a better Chapel Hill. And that's why I really encourage everyone to go to the polls. We believe in process, that is, have a good process. And so we invited everyone who was interested to come and attend a meeting, and we set criteria for what would be a good council member, and we talked about it for several hours, and we came out with 4 individuals that we thought would do the best job. And the first one is Jessica Anderson, and she's a tall, beautiful person. She is very effective because she works well with others, she builds coalitions, and she knows that when you get on a board, you don't just sit there and wait for things to come before you and say yes or no. You say, would you please work with me? How can we change this? And then she proposes something to the manager and says, can we do something about those buildings on Ephesus Fordham? And she did. So the reason that things are going now and we might get some real changes is because Jessica took the leadership. So we're all very keen on Jess, and we want her to be reelected. Another candidate that we're very keen on is Renuka Soul, Renuka. And she is a challenger, meaning she's not already on the council. She wants to be on the council. And she's been in this community a number of years, and she's been super active in the schools. She's a coach for the bicycle team. She mentors people that are learning to get their high school degree so that they can go on and better themselves. She had the idea, she was very bothered by the violence in our society here in the U.S., and she wanted to do something about it. So she started a gun buyback program. And that just illustrated such persistence, because she went to meet with the chief of police, and he said, oh, this is too hard. You're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to do that. And she went and she met every challenge and brought it about. So that's one reason why I think she'd be very effective on the council. Like Jess, I think she would take initiative. The third council member that we're backing is Amy Ryan. Amy has been on a number of boards. Was served as chair of the Planning Commission. She's capable of making tough decisions, and she's extremely knowledgeable about our ordinances. So I think that kind of detailed knowledge will really serve the council well. And the last council member that we have endorsed is Nancy Oates. Nancy was really helped start our organization, the Chapel Hill Alliance for a Livable Town. She cares very much about neighborhoods. She's always looking out for neighborhoods to see that something that's happening over here is not going to impact the people that are already living here. And I think that's a very, very important quality to have. So those are the four we're endorsing. And I hope that everyone goes out to the polls and casts their vote, because this is just, it's an important time. There are other candidates that we looked at as well. We discussed every single candidate that's running and what their good points are and what their not so good points. So Michael Parker is a very genial person. He's, I think he cares very much about Chapel Hill. He lived most of his life, he was educated here initially, but he spent a large part of his life in New York City. And so he's very comfortable with the urban sort of thing. And I think he's learned as he's lived in Chapel Hill that we don't necessarily want to be New York City here. I can work with Michael, and we've worked with him on some transit issues. I think that in the end, he doesn't tend to vote the way we hope that he will. But he's certainly someone who does his homework. Other people running, let's see, Ty Hun is running. Our organization was very impressed with Ty and met with him 3 or 4 times, because we were really interested to see if he might be someone we might want to endorse. He's very smart and bright, as we all know. He started a company. He's already sold software to other companies. In the end, we found that Ty really didn't go after the issues that we really care about. For example, we really care about land use planning. The reason that this is such a lovely area to live in is because many, many years ago we adopted a comprehensive land use plan. We said we're only going to grow to this much, and we're going to have a rural buffer, and we're not going to sprawl everywhere. And I think he doesn't quite, he doesn't kind of put his emphasis there. In some of the answers that he's given to the newspaper, for example, he says, well, we could just extend water and sewer down 15501. Well, the implication of that is that actually the town would sprawl to the southward, and pretty soon we would be, well, like northern Raleigh, which I don't think we really aspire to be. So I think when you put that together with the fact that Ty really doesn't have much life experience, I think that that's why he didn't get one of the top 4 slots. Sue Hunter is someone who's running. I think what came out of the interview, we conducted an interview with every single candidate, by the way, in addition to holding a forum. And in Sue's interview, I think what came through was that she's certainly a volunteer and been active in the community and has good heart, but she doesn't really see what local government can accomplish. So with every single question that we asked her, it seemed like she said, oh, well, if something floods, they're just going to have to figure it out. Or if we can't do anything because state government won't let us. Well, it's true, there are a lot of impediments and challenges out there. But if you're going to serve, you better be optimistic and you better think that you can get something done. Otherwise, it isn't worth it. So I hope that helps.